everyone. How are you? I hope you're in the right place. So welcome to our last installment of the Arbinger Book Club for the Outward Mindset. If you are here and you are joining, I would love for you to throw in the chat where you're joining from. Suanne, it's so good to see you. I got to meet Suanne live and in person last week, which was wonderful. But anybody else out there, please just go ahead and throw into the chat. Where are you joining us from? I am in the Northern Virginia area that has blissfully started to cool off, and the humidity has also left with it, so it's fantastic. I'm a sweater and scarf kind of girl through and through, for sure. Why is my chat not working? Here we go. Okay, so just go ahead and throw in there. All right, Woodbridge. All right, Baltimore. You guys know what I'm talking about. Same. Arizona. Lovely. So glad you guys are here. Okay, so just as you folks are joining, by all means, please throw into the chat where you're joining from. Would love to see kind of where everybody's coming from. I think that's great. Tennessee. Okay, I hope you're okay down in Tennessee. Hopefully not to Colorado. Great. Sacramento. More Arizona. Excellent. Yuma. I just know about the movie 310 to Yuma. Anybody else? Go ahead and throw it in there. So while folks are joining us, we're in our last installment, friends. Don't mind the rainbow bright effect of all of my tabs, but we're in our last three chapters, 16, 17, and 18. Welcome, Darren from Logan, Utah. And I don't know about you guys, but I got really excited about these last three chapters because these are the ones, if you all have ever attended any kind of Arbinger event or a workshop or anything like that, rarely do we let you leave without creating an action plan and having something actionable. So the book is no different. You can't run away from it. Oh, hey, Jeremy. How you doing? So I wanted to jump in here, and there were a couple things that stood out to me. So we're in chapter 16, 17, and 18, which is really, I would say, probably some of the most practical that we found out of the entire book. If you're new, sorry, I get ahead of myself every time. I get so excited to get in the book, guys. Okay, so first, if you are new here, welcome. So excited to have you. You will notice along the top, we've got a number of different tabs. So right now you're in the stage, which is where you get to see me. You will see over there, we have something called breakout rooms. We use breakout rooms a lot here in the book club, just because I think it's a great way for you guys to be able to solicit these beautiful ideas from all of your different experiences. So that will be the kind of the two places that we toggle between this afternoon. We will go into breakout rooms. Then Amy, my colleague from Arbinger, will send out something that says, come on back. In order to come back, you'll have to click stage in that top left corner. Yay, team. Chat, you guys are already in it. Thanks so much. You guys know how to do all of that. If you have something specific that's a question that you would like to ask, you'll see all the way on the right-hand side of that pane, there's something that says Q&A. And then last but not least, raising your hand. So this is something I love to get you guys on stage with me and kind of debrief a little bit after we talk through in our breakout groups. So you'll see here in the bottom right-hand corner, there's something that says raise hand. That will then indicate to us that you'd like to come on stage. We'll bring you on and then we can have a chat here. Okay, so hopefully those are all the things. I get so excited. Sometimes I just want to jump right in. All right, so there were a couple pieces that jumped out to me, and I would love to know kind of your thoughts in this. But the first piece of this, when we were talking about the systems and how systems can invite or even reinforce inwardness, that was something that I feel like it really hit home for me because prior to joining Arbinger, I worked in a massive organization, 44,000 employees. And, you want to talk about systems that invited inwardness, like that was it. And so I loved that first story that he shared. But the thing that I loved was on page 150 when Tom Brackens or Brakens, I'm not sure how you pronounce it. We're going to go with Brackens for today. He says, all of this could have been managed, if not avoided altogether, he said, had we thought more about our customer and their metrics and less about ourselves and our own screwed up inward metric. And that was something, because he had been talking about how he was trying to get this deal done before the end of the year. And that was an internal metric that he had from his organization that they were trying to meet. And inevitably, they ruined this beautiful relationship that they had with their client, all because they were trying to drive to this internal metric that had nothing to do with their customer. And so the thing that I thought was interesting is he talks a little bit about the outcome of what happened, because at the very bottom of that page, he's talking about how people started to leave the company. He says because they didn't believe in the place anymore. They basically quit. And when we think so often about metrics, I don't know that I, up until that point, had ever really thought like a metric could cause people to quit. Even a metric that kind of seems on the surface like it's meant to benefit. And then on page 153, we draw the parallel between Landa, which is the story we just heard with Brack, and the debt collection company, or I'm sorry, not the debt collection company. This is the Hope Arising company that is trying to get clean water to remote communities in Africa. It says, whereas Landa measures success primarily in terms of the revenue it receives from its customers, Hope Arising measures success primarily in terms of the positive impact on its customers. And then asks, which organization would you rather work for? Which organization would you rather buy from? And it seems so apparent, I think. And one of the things that it had me thinking about is cultures of output, or cultures that measure output versus cultures that measure impact. And so what I would love for our first breakout group is talking through that output versus impact kind of dichotomy, right? Where do you notice your organization measuring output rather than impact? Or maybe it's measuring impact. And how does that then affect, one, the way that you feel about those metrics, but two, what do you think it invites in others around you? So, I don't know that I'd ever necessarily articulated it quite like that, output versus impact, but I had a colleague do that, and it was something that really kind of hit my brain. So I would love for you guys to talk that through. Where are you or your organization measuring output instead of impact? And how can you maybe flip it on its head? What are some things that you might be able to tweak to start measuring impact? Okay, so we're going to take 13 minutes for this lovely breakout. 12 minutes. I've eaten up time. Gosh darn it. Okay, 12 minutes for your first breakout, talking about where are you measuring output instead of impact. Okay, so along the top, go ahead and go breakout rooms and then click that plus sign to join. If you have any issues, throw it in the chat. I'll be here, happy to talk through it. Okay, ready, set, go. Like I said, don't hesitate to let me know if you get stuck. I'm jamming to my own music in my brain. All right, Cincinnati. Oh, we got Nairobi and Bangladesh. Hey-o. Dr. Sanders, we are just jumping into breakout rooms to discuss where we're measuring output instead of impact, based on chapter 16 of the book. As I said, let me know if anybody gets stuck in the stage area. Just throw that in the chat. Having audio issues, no worries. Hopefully you can hear, and maybe it's your microphone that's not working. Fingers crossed. But if you're stuck in here, by all means, just let me know, and we can, even if you can't talk, we can do a chat. You can share your thoughts, any of that. Okay, so up at the top, you'll see the Arbinger logo in the top left corner. You'll see it says stage, agenda, and breakout rooms. So you click breakout rooms, and then you'll see a whole bunch show up, and it'll tell you how many seats are open. When you hover over that tile, you click a plus sign, and then you'll be able to join that room. Let me know if that still doesn't work for you. Trying to see. All right, and got in there. Awesome. And if anybody is still here on the stage with me, there we go. Let me know if you have any issues. If you're stuck on stage, let me know. All right. Are you having trouble joining a breakout room? Okay. Are you able to get to the page that shows breakout rooms? Oh, okay. So you still should have that, but if not, if you want to raise your hand and come on stage, we can just have a chat since you're here. Say if not, no worries. Or if you just want to type your thoughts, you can do that too. Whatever works. But if anybody's still stuck on the stage and wants to chat, go ahead and raise your hand. William, I think we saw you raise your hand and then you disappeared. So if you would like to try and raise your hand again, would love to talk. Otherwise, you can join a breakout room. Potato, potato. Hey, Krista, no worries. We're talking about where you in your organization are measuring output instead of impact. So it's based on chapter 16. We're talking a little bit about how we read the story of Landa and how they basically sacrificed their relationship with their client for an internal metric that merely measured output and certainly did not measure impact on others. So I was just kind of curious what you guys are noticing. Oh, student grading. Say more on that. If you wouldn't mind throwing it in the chat, because I know you said you're having audio issues. I think that's fascinating now that you mention it. I can only imagine. I feel like this is a perfect topic for the education system. Because I myself, as a terrible test taker, feel some type of way. Like on the edge of my seat. And if anybody else has just joined, we are in our first breakout room. I'll throw the question That's the question for anybody joining us. And by all means, jump into a breakout room. If you are stuck on stage and cannot join a breakout room for whatever reason, please, by all means, raise your hand. Would love to chat, or you can throw your thoughts in the chat. Should probably stop using the word chat so much. We can talk, coffee talk. I can't be trusted to be alone and talking to myself. Thanks, Jen. Oh, number of publications for promotion. I imagine that that's along the lines then of quantity and not necessarily quality. I mean, is it like a checklist? Like, 5 publications is better than 10, even if the 5 is, 10 publications is better than 5, even if the 5 are, to our point here, more impactful. I could definitely see that being the case. Interesting. And is that specifically in the education system? You're talking about promotion for, professors or teachers or that kind of thing? I remember we used to have a metric somewhat similar to that is, how many people have you, or how many of our customers have you checked in with, right? Well, check-in is such a interesting definition. Check-in, could be an email, it could be a phone call, it could be a text message. And yeah, have I checked in? Sure. Have I gotten anything out of that? Have I built the relationship? I mean, that would probably have been a hard no back in the day. But I think that so often that's the way that we measure things. Interesting. Yes, that's the way it is at this moment. Huh. And then say more on the student grading that you had raised earlier. What are your thoughts on that? I would love to know your thoughts. My organization allows us to personally report our own output in our end of year self-assessments, which causes your supervisor to almost compare you to the other direct reports, whether you have the same responsibilities. Oh, interesting. So it's all about how you can paint your own picture, Ashley. That's, we used to talk a lot about how, you had to be your own best advocate when it comes to that kind of thing. And, much to the story, I'm blanking on which one it was, but basically he was saying that, yeah, effectively they were this beautiful outward organization until it came closer to performance review time at the end of the year. Yeah. And then everybody turned inward because it's like, well, how do I make sure that I am the shiniest star, in the sky compared to my peers? Because that's then, especially if we have those bell curves in place or those kinds of things where there's only a certain number of promotions available or there's, anything like that. I remember in my past life, as we'll call it, those performance reviews were just that. Basically, it was, let me tell you all of the things that I have done. I won't talk about it in terms of impact because that doesn't really matter, right? Let me just enumerate the laundry list of things I've accomplished this year. Someone does very little if they can paint the. Yeah. It's amazing, right? I mean, it's amazing how we actively can undermine productivity just by the way that we incentivize employees. I think that's tremendous. I remember a couple of sessions ago, we were talking about, we had someone representing an IT team and they were talking about closing tickets And the number of tickets closed was the metric that they were held by. The number of tickets and how quickly. Vice, was it actually helpful to the customer how they closed that ticket, which I just think is, I don't know, I think it's tremendous. Vicky, same here. We have to do status reports from which management does our performance reviews. So if you are a horn tutor, but tech people, oh, that's a great point. That's a great point that, stylistically, and also the way that, we just process information based on our job roles will affect the way that we convey information. It's interesting because, I think back to, Vicky, to your point, like, we were always taught that we had to advocate for ourselves. And I was terrible at doing that because mostly I felt inauthentic in so many ways doing that. But it was one of those where I could do it for my peers so much better than they could do it for themselves. And the fact that just the power of writing could sway the rating that somebody had versus like the actual like hard facts of the impact. I don't know. Ugh. Are we going to hold another book club on this event? No, I don't think so, because we've got a couple other books that we're going to work through next. And I'll share this with the group while everybody's coming back. Okay, yes, good, thanks. I was getting carried away. Yeah, so, I think we're going to be doing Leadership and Self-Deception next, the 4th edition, which just came out end of August. So that'll be early 2025, but I'll share that officially when everybody comes back. But yeah, Ashley, I sit and I marvel at basically one's capability to write persuasively, which is not a requirement for like my software engineers that used to report to me, or like my tactical paramedics that I used to report to me. That would then be the thing that would influence their rating. Like, what? Get to have input. Ooh, Vicky, don't get me started. Don't get me started. I love me a good 360 because I think that is huge. I've also done a lot of outreach work and stuff at the mission, but since that wasn't in my job title, oh man, even though I'd be not. Yeah, Ashley, 100%. The other duties as assigned, yeah, that lovely ambiguous bullet that usually sits across the bottom of most government job descriptions is often where we find a lot of the impact, especially when it comes to mission work, right? And that's usually the things that we're not measured against. Okay, is everybody back? I just get so excited. Okay, so, we got room 2 is still chugging along. Come back, room 2. All right, so anyone from rooms 1 or 3 want to share what you guys talked about? Raise your hand, come on stage. I would love to hear. Don't make me sing the Jeopardy song while we wait. Excellent. Hey, Doug. Douglas? Doug.
I go by Doug.
Okay.
So you can hear me, right? Okay. There was trouble last week. I had our last session. I had trouble with my microphone. So I think you were, whenever we come back from the breakout room, you were kind of talking about the impact versus the employee progress reviews and things like that on that line. And that's one of the things that we were talking about in our room. And it really, I worked for the federal government for overall 30-some years, but and I'm retired now, so I'm focusing a little bit more on different things. But I was an auditor, so of course impact was big for us. And we would go out to our clients and we would talk about, how can we make efficiencies to the organizations and how can we do a lot of those other things. And at one point we did have surveys that ended from, we would get surveys back from the clients, but of course that ended about, I would say probably 10 years ago. And whenever they did send them back, if they did, they went into an abyss somewhere because the supervisors never got them to know whether their staff were meeting up to the expectations of what was put out there. But I think the part that kind of resonated with me most is that when we talk about impact a lot of times can't be seen for multiple years.
That's a good point.
a lot of it is the maximum effectiveness of the year in most cases is what's my output? What is my output going to be? Because that's an easy thing to measure against. You either did it or you didn't. And so I think we get caught up so much in looking at that output because we're worried about that year or this next rating cycle. So what's going to happen within this rating cycle? And oh, by the way, that impact may be taken, or that impact that actually comes, maybe the reward for it may be given to somebody else down the road. So,
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, I think so often we can get caught up in, you know, we have this arbitrary, 12 months, right, that we're looking at, and we're trying to assess what happens there. But certainly the impact could go much longer, wider, more vast than that. But we're just like, okay, here we've got to, we lose sight of the 100-meter target for sake of the 5-meter target. And it's one of those, I think, that I know I myself would do all the time, right? I would focus on the tactical, on that which was right in front of me, and I would do what would check a box and sometimes sacrifice the beneficial impact of the long term. Yeah, it's not great. I know. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I think that's a great point. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. Anybody else want to come on and share what they talked about in their groups? Group 2, are you back? You guys were in it. They're still going. Okay. Yeah, Doug's audio was breaking up. Okay. How do I think Arbinger positively affects humanity? Woo! Al, you going deep, like right off the gate. So, I think the work that we do at Arbinger, I think it's one of those, just like the whole reason that I came to work for this company to begin with is that in being able to execute this within my organization, I saw such a tremendous impact on the people that I worked with, not just in the workplace, but at home, right? Like their spouses and their family members would tell me that, they're seeing a better version of their partner at home than they ever had before. And I know that that was true for me as well. And I think, the reason that I love working for this company so much is that now we have the ability to roll that out and have it be like the ripple effect is tremendous, right? So that you think about that one manager that you had who believed in you when they really didn't have a good reason to, or if you had, a positive experience with this work, right? And it changed the nature of your relationship with somebody that you cared about at home, or whatever that looks like. And then you start to see that work its way out, right? So we talk a lot about giving the people that you're in conflict with somebody different to respond to. I think about the emotional weight that comes with inwardness, and like, I don't know, I remember like when I was able to start my journey of turning outward towards my ex-husband, like there was physically a weight that I felt like came off of my shoulders. It was one of those where I could feel, I could feel it. Like I don't know how to describe it. And I know that might seem like a little bit crazy unless somebody else has been out there with me and you can thumbs me up. But I think that this work has such an ability to reduce like the blame and shame cycle, which I think is so prevalent, at least in our American culture. Blame and shame is everywhere. And it's one of the things that we like to latch onto. We latch onto it in social media and pop culture and all of those things. Like you see these shows, the reality shows. I'm not trying to go down a rabbit hole, but the reality shows where like the shame and blame is what sells, right? And so I love what we get to do here and working with you all and partnering to identify ways that we can break those cycles. Because I think that it's so freeing emotionally, but also it unlocks this like incredible potential for just productivity and creativity and innovation and collaboration and all of the things that give us the warm fuzzies just as humans. So Al, that's a long-winded way of saying I think we do it. And I think we do it well, but I mean, I think that there's just so many nuances to it. Anybody else want to come on stage? Oh, Al!
So,
all right, come
hey,
through, sir.
it just to follow up on that, and it's like that's impact, right?
Oh,
If somebody sees you or I or anybody else on this call get excited about the potential of thinking differently to have your mental, spiritual, work, health be better. I don't know that we need to measure it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the measurement for you and for me, I had a meeting yesterday. We're going over some of this stuff with a small group of employees in a company that has 1,400 people and no top level executive support. But, for me, it's forgiveness rather than permission. We're going to do this, right? And after our meeting, I just said, hey, feedback. And one lady on the meeting said, this felt like a therapy session. And I said, well, I don't want it to be, I'm not here to be a therapist. I'm not a certified, therapist, but say more about it. And she said, I walked in here today. She didn't say inward, right? But my day before this meeting is just crazy. And now there's this sense of peace that can go through. I understand that because I've, doing my best to stay attached to this. I don't know how to measure that impact except with the knowledge of the information that we have been providing our employees and what Arbinger does works. It's given a chance to make sense. And that's why I asked. And real quickly, I'll tell this story in our group. I work for material handling, so forklifts, conveyor systems, and everything else. And I use the example of a parts department. If I go into a parts department and ask the guy, hey, what's your job here? He says, well, I ship parts. Okay. What are you saying? You put a part in a box? Yes, exactly. I stick it, and I tag it, and I ship it. I say, where is it going? Right? And he'll say Johnson & Johnson. Well, Johnson & Johnson is really big and focused on diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
So I come back and say, so what I'm hearing is somebody out there needs a diabetes machine and their forklift isn't moving today. And the part you're providing to get to them to put on their forklift is going to move that machine to a place where somebody needs it. Now, what is it that you do here? Right? And I think for me, anyhow, to just spread that out, we're all doing something to help humanity. And we've got to be okay with saying what that is, because I think it puts a different definition on our efforts of what we're doing in our workplace and at home, right? I mean, they talk about my kids. I got to pair my kids who are all out of the house with good kids, because I know a good kid's dad is going to tell my kids something and he's going to listen to him, and I can tell him the same thing and he's going to say, come on, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. So that's all I got. I'm gonna jump off.
Yeah, no, thanks so much for sharing that, Al. I think I agree with you, Elizabeth. I love that explanation. I think that, sometimes, at the Arbinger Institute, we focus a lot on business outcomes, right? We're looking for a way to measure the impact of this work. But when you look at it, especially on the home front, like the cost of inwardness is so high in my book that there is really no good reason for me to continue to avoid it. And sometimes for me at home in particular, like that's where I've got to lock in on this first, just because I feel like the stakes are so high, right? Yeah, you guys got me like, my brain is now in 1,000 different directions. I'm trying to stay focused. I love when you guys share this. Okay, any other thoughts? Any other ideas? Any other things that you guys talked about? Or anybody wanting to respond to anything that they've heard thus far? Go ahead and raise your hand. We're small groups, so don't freak out and think you're coming on stage in front of like 600 people. It's, just as friends. It's family. It's family at this point. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Victoria. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Where are you?
I am in Northern Virginia, just outside DC.
Oh, wow. I'm 50 miles from you. I'm in Baltimore.
Ah, okay.
And it is beautiful. One of the things we talked about in our group, and I was in Al's group, and Al was fantastic, was there's an old saying, and it goes something like, everything we measure doesn't matter, and a lot of things that matter can't be measured. And, I do a lot of training with people. And one of the things I say a lot is, okay, if measuring stuff is so important, how much do you love your kids? Give me a number. And of course, the joking people will say, well, today it was a 7, but you can't, there are so many things you can't put numbers on. And I think we've gotten so hung up on numbers that it's kind of ridiculous. I think it's more about what the impact is. And a lot of that impact is anecdotal. It's, it's the story of somebody who, well, doing my job today helped somebody who was sick. Doing my job today helped the guy next to me send his kid to college. And I think we need to think about what's the purpose of our work. What do we do it for? Everything we do in business is for people. All of our customers are people. All of our employees are people. All our bosses are people. It's all about people. And we're never going to get to a day where it's not about people, because if you do, I don't know, you're selling stuff to a machine. It's just so everything we do is about people. So we really need to think about what's the impact on people. And a lot of times it's not necessarily our customers. Sometimes it's the person next to you. Because, everybody serves somebody in your job, every single one. It doesn't matter what you do. If you pay the bills for the company, well, guess what? You're serving everybody in the company. If you're a salesperson, you're serving the customer. So we all serve somebody, and I think it's important to look at how am I impacting that person with what I do. And I think, again, those come down to stories and talking about feelings. So
yeah. Oh, I love that, Neil. I think you're absolutely right. We were just talking with a client, and he was talking about the impact of work at Arbinger. And I was asking about business metrics. And he was like, can I tell you, like, the thing that got me most excited is that we had these charts and somebody had a glaring red issue and we all got really excited about it. He's like, that's how I knew we were going to be okay. Like, it's so analogous to the Alan Mulally story that we heard in there. I was kind of giggling.
Yep.
But he was like, I'm starting to see people think differently. Like, that to me is the impact, and it's not a number, right? It's to your point, it's just, it's a sense.
Well,
it's a
for
shift.
Alan Mulally, from Mulally, it was the sense of all of a sudden he made everybody safe in that room.
Mm-hmm.
When he said, finally, somebody will speak up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it starts trickling in and everybody starts speaking up and saying, well, my department's kind of screwed up too.
Mm-hmm.
Now we can do something. But he only did it by making it safe.
Yeah.
Said,
and I love what you said too. Oh, 100%. And I love what you said too about, we're always in service to somebody, right? And it is all about people. I can't tell you how many times I have heard in my career, well, if they would just like shut up and do their job. It's like, well, but they're not robots, right? Like, and I love I love that idea that because we talk a lot at the Arbinger Institute that we're always in relation with people. But I think to your point, we're always in service to somebody. Like that. I love that. I love that, Neil. That's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. So you guys got me so jazzed up. I'm so excited. Okay. Next. I don't mean to move us off this topic, but I do, because we only have 22 minutes together and I want us to get to the action plan part of our day. So a couple things I want you to think about before we move into this. Some things in here that really jumped out to me. Number one, on page 157, where it says, when it comes to the process of shifting from an inward to an outward mindset, start where you are. Do a little at a time. Keep at it. Don't quit riding the bike when you start feeling wobbly. And this was following the story of the backwards bike, which I've seen the video of this. It's trippy. I don't know that my brain would ever switch over, but start where you are, which hit home for me in particular, because I have a couple relationships that I really am trying to work on where I am tremendously inward and I was beating myself up over being inward. And it was like, just start where you are. Do a little at a time and keep at it. The other thing that I loved was on page 156, it says, outwardness does to inwardness what light does to darkness. It chases it away. And so I felt like those two pieces in particular, like, really hit home for me. I don't know if you guys felt the same, but it was one of those where I was like, Okay. I need to think about that. But what I would like for you to do in this next 15 minutes. No, I don't want to do 15 because I want to hear. We're going to do 10 minutes. On page 166, we've got a couple bullet points here talking about ways that you can start this. And obviously, we've been together now for a minute, and we worked our way through this entire book, talking through all kinds of concepts and stories and challenges, and you guys have had some tremendous insights. I would love to know, where and how are you going to start your outward game plan? And maybe it's not with like the most difficult, most challenging relationship you have. Maybe it's not with one person. Maybe it's with a team. Maybe it's with an organization. Maybe it's with something else. But I want to know, like, where are you going to start? Is it one of these that we've, offered you here, whether it's, starting with the outward mindset pattern, or, doing the most important move and turning your chair or changing your mindset yourself? Or is it mobilizing yourself and your team? Is it one of these? Is it someplace else? But I would love you guys to share with each other and get some feedback from those in your group. Where are you starting? What's the game plan? And where are we going from here? Okay? So 10 minutes. Ready, set, go. I feel like room 2 never came back. Room 2 is just perpetually in breakout. Just so you guys have it, I'm going to put it in the chat. Let's go ahead and let me know if anybody's still stuck on stage, because I would love for you to share your game plan. Where are you starting? What do you have the sense to do? What has this book club forced you to think about that you didn't want to think about before, but now you can't get it out of your brain? I call it a game plan. It's because I was watching football the other day. And like I said, throw in the chat if you are still here on the stage with me. Let me know. Excuse me as I have a hiccup. Just one. Did everybody make it to a breakout room? Christmas miracle. Amy, let's let them go to 52. So it might be like 11 minutes. I just have a feeling this group is getting into it. Hey, Jace, do you want to raise your hand and come on stage? We can chat. Hello.
You there?
Yep. Oh, you on the move too. Okay. So you're extra motivated.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to be here for this. So the thing that's been on my head a lot is the model, right? With mindset being the foundation, but through like some of my therapy sessions and stuff like that, I've been really trying to get after like, what is mindset? Because I believe mindset drives behavior, which gets you the results. But I was like, okay, well, what is it that actually drives someone's mindset? So I started to take the model and break it down a little bit further. And then like some of the stuff that I found out, at least for me, is right, situations and past experiences are what drive my mindset. And so that's that's been on top of my mind. And then it was, what did I come up with? Beliefs, and then past experiences. Past experiences have people and situations, and then beliefs have conscious and subconscious. And then one of the things I was listening to the other day was, how do you make it to where your conscious thoughts or your beliefs about something serve you? And I was like, okay. And yeah, that's where my head's been at.
You rolling deep in that philosophy. I love it.
It's one of those things. I did it just the other day, and I have a 10-year-old, and I tried to talk to him about mindset because I believe it drives everything. And I was telling him, I was like, I had just had this example at work the other day, and I felt this way where I was irritated with the guy with everything that he was asking us to do at the shop. And I said, okay, well, what can I do that makes this belief serve me? Or what belief can I have that does serve me, even though the situation doesn't change? And I go, oh, you know what? We're a shop that takes care of our people when they need to be taken care of. And that completely just shifted my entire mind.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Because, I mean, when we talk about mindset at the Arbinger Institute, it's simply how we see others. But to your point, that can be shaped by past experiences, value systems, belief systems, all of that, right? And can predispose it. We have a course called Outward Inclusion that talks a lot about bias and how that kind of wraps in there as well, right? That can shape how we see others from the get-go without us sometimes even realizing it. But I love that. And I love that you're, getting into that with your 10-year-old. Like, that's awesome. That's a great conversation.
If he doesn't, he's like, oh, okay. And I know with enough time and consistency and simple enough language that he'll be able to look at it and be like, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. And then I point out little examples for him of where I did good at, or where he did good at, or where I failed at, or where he could do better. So, yeah, that model, though, lives in a lot of conversations that I have with a lot of people.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think it's so foundational to so much that I feel like I do on a daily basis, to your point, right? Because I can even check myself, like, I'm getting impatient with this person. Am I really seeing them with the right mindset right now? Right? I'm getting really frustrated. Yeah. I'm really irritable. And is it warranted? And if it's not warranted, what do I need to do differently? How do I need to see this person differently? Right? And then there I go, checking my mindset without even really realizing that that's what I'm doing. Yeah. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing, Jace. I appreciate that.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Oh, Ashley, you're man, government VPN, security, all in the name of security. Curse you, security. If there's anything you want to drop in the chat, Ashley, I'm more than happy to do the lopsided conversation where I just yammer and you type coherently. But I love some of the things that you've shared, because I think it's just, it's so fascinating. Like, I love hearing all of the different challenges that you all encounter, because we all come from different industries, right? Different backgrounds, different experiences, different countries, different parts of the US, all that kind of stuff. I think that's tremendous. Is there anybody else who's here on the stage not battling a government VPN that would like to raise their hand? Come on. Share their thoughts. I remember that VPN life. I couldn't even get to Gmail. Sad day. I'm working with the mindset I encounter with my management of them operating in a place of fear, trying not to make the same mistakes as before. Meaning that they're operating out of a place of fear? Your management, I mean? Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess the question is then, like, one, do you think they realize it? And two, what step? Vicky, you gonna hide and not tell me that you're still here on stage with me? She said Focus. Fairness. Even though life isn't fair, not everyone should be treated the same. Interesting. Interesting. All right, so Ashley and Vicky all in the VPN bucket together. So yeah, I mean, I think that's a great one. I would love to know if they even realize that they are operating from a place of fear. And if they are, what are the drivers of that? Because, so often we talk about different inward styles. And if you all have, they don't realize it as a negative thing. Woo! Okay. Well, that's not great. But, we talk about inward mindset styles and needing to be seen as, right? And I feel like a lot of times when I either myself have operated from a place of fear, or I have encountered management that's been operating from a place of fear, I know, at least for myself, because that's really the only experience I can talk to, it was 100% a need to be seen as inward mindset style. It was me, either being fearful that my reputation was going to be on the hook, or that I was going to be seen as a incompetent leader, or that I was going to make somebody mad and they weren't going to like me. Yeah, I'm talking like play yard rules, or what is it? Playground rules. Or, that I couldn't talk to this person, because for fear that they were going to then go to HR, workplace, legal, whatever, right? And then I was going to get in trouble. Let me tell you, the amount that I've unpacked my childhood in reading these books is tremendous. But all that to say, yeah, I mean, I think it's so frustrating, especially when you see it from the outside, like yourself, right? Because think of all of the things that we are losing out on as an organization because they're operating from a place of fear. They don't want to get chewed out. Yeah. Vicky, I have no doubt. Yeah. Don't want to get chewed out. Yeah. We're working with a client right now through some coaching, and his boss basically has established a culture of gamesmanship because of the political nature that has been allowed to persist, I guess, in that, it was, you only share this information with these people because you don't want to get bit in the butt by these people, and these people are going to chew you out if you share any more than this. And I'm like, man, if we sit back and look at it like objectively, we're withholding information, we're refusing collaboration, we're stifling innovation, like all of the things that we would say are great, right? And fear, man, that is the fire blanket to the never ending flame that is innovation, that just kind of creates all of this opportunity. So it's frustrating, Ashley. I'd love to hear your outward plan in terms of how you think maybe you can help, because it's not an easy situation to be in at all. I go straight and looks at the meetings on my calendar to decide if I should be there. Oof. Okay. All right. So hopefully everybody's back. Sue Ann. I love it. Already raising that hand. Come on.
I'm on there. I guess I am.
Hello.
Hi. I felt like I kind of dominated. I went into room 2 because they never came back, and they were still talking. We were talking before, and so I said, "Hey," because they wanted to know, "Oh, are you with Arbinger? Who are you with?" And I said, "Yeah, we're in our second breakout session, and you guys never came back, so I came in here to see what you all were doing." And so we went from there. And I told them about our experience at the collective in Austin, and what we plan to do. Hopefully, we want to do a podcast during November and have Chip be the speaker.
Oh, awesome.
Veteran Affairs is going to publish it to everybody so that we will have representation from the veterans and everybody, from the housekeeper and the food service person up to the executives, we hope.
That's great.
Once we get the appointment set up. Well, we're going to do something called Permission to Speak Freely. Chip's done something like that before. And just have him speak a little bit and let people ask questions. And because we feel like we have to implement the outward mindset at the grassroots level, at the unit level, between nurse manager and staff, between staff and staff. And we're starting out on 2 acute care units that's talking about maybe 60 patients altogether and maybe 60 staff altogether. And so that's what we're planning to do. And hopefully we get this set up and get him going in November. And then we, as part of our implementation plan, we're staging implementation unit by unit.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so exciting. I look forward to hearing that because I'm always intrigued.
And they asked if we could, when we get the date for that, if we could somehow publish it through you so that they could come in and participate in it.
Okay. That I will defer to our marketing folks because they're the wizards that make all of that magic happen. But I think that they're already in touch somehow. I think it's getting connected.
We are sort of. We're working with Dave Newman and trying to get all the players together, the pieces together. But
yeah, awesome.
So
that's great. Thanks for sharing, Sue Ann. I appreciate that. It's good seeing you again.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yes.
Thanks. Ashley. Okay, your plan. Make every effort to instill what I've learned here into my management in small bites as often as I can, leading up, swimming against the tide, doing the best. Ooh, come on, Ashley. Yes, I'm excited about that. Krista, thanks for joining. Yeah, room 2, y'all were in it. You guys were champs. Anybody else want to share anything from what they talked about in their groups? But Ashley, I love your plan. Just live it out. Live it out. Perfect. Anybody else? Okay. Well, with that, I want to say thank you all. But before we go, I want to, so you guys had Chip hang out last week. Chip has another event next Thursday, Halloween, that I think is going to be tremendous. So if you haven't already registered for this, Amy, how do they do that? I know that there we go. Okay. Ta-da! Amy knew what I was talking about. Okay. So I would love for you guys to come join us. I think it's going to be fantastic. We are going to be doing another book club after the first of the year, early 2025, on leadership and self-deception, 4th edition. So if you haven't already gotten it, I highly recommend it. And we're going to be sending out a survey for you all to respond to. I would love, love, love your candid feedback. Was it too many sessions, not enough sessions? Were the sessions long enough? Were they relevant enough? How did the small groups, listen to me, the breakout groups go? Were they too long, not long enough, too big, too small? All of those details, because you guys, for lack of a better term, we're our test pool for this. We really want to hit a home run next time around. And hopefully, since you guys have stuck with us, hopefully you all have found value in it. So we would love to know what that value is. But really, I would just love to say thank you. This has been so much fun. I got thrown into this on a whim, and it has been such a joy to spend this time with you guys, having an opportunity to learn from you. This has been tremendous, and I really, really enjoyed it. I hope you also have gotten something out of it and enjoyed meeting others from all around the world. So with that, I thank you. I wish you all a very happy rest of your week and weekend. And yes, we will let you all know. See, now that you're in our atmosphere with your emails, you are absolutely going to be among the first to know about our next one. So glad you all have enjoyed it. Thank you so, so much. And please have a wonderful rest of 2024 if I don't talk to you before then. All right. Take care. Hope to see you next Thursday, and have a great one. Talk to you all later.